multi-layered taste experience with only a small amount of water. Hello everybody, welcome to the Daily Sip. My name is Oliver and my mission is to bring you closer to organic Japanese green tea, and today what we are diving into is actually of getting a multi-layered taste experience from a tea, from the most or the strongest theanine rich tea, the amino acid rich tea in Japan, which is Gyokuro. And what I want to dive into today is really to have a little amount or very small amount of water and to see how the taste is different if I'm using a small amount of water versus a bigger amount of water. So what I brought with me today, Mr. Gyokuro. So the Gyokuro is the Emperor's tea, as some of you might know. You cannot really see it here, but better in this jar here, you see a very well shaded, very beautiful tea, which you can buy in Japan, long shaded, above 20 days or between 20 and 30 days. This one here is 21 days. So this is a tea which is long shaded, and it starts with the shading of 70%, cutting the sunlight off until up to 100% for the last 7 days. At least that's how Mr. Sakamoto does it. 14 days of 1 layer of shading nets and then 3 layers for the last 7 days that the plant doesn't see the sunlight anymore at any time. So this is what we are going to dive into, and I really want to go and taste the savoriness of a tea which is done with only a very small amount of water. So for this I have my normal kyusu. Sometimes you also have a small kyusu, so for Gyokuro especially there exists as well the shiboridashi, which is exceptionally made for this tea, but you can also do it easily in your own teapot at home. And what is important is that you just use a small amount of water. So instead of 150 to 200 milliliters of water, what I am using is around between 30 and 50 milliliters just to brew this tea with a small amount of water, and we're gonna see how the difference is. What I already have here is a teapot which is with a Gyokuro, and here we're gonna fill in a little bit more just to see the difference of the tea. Good, so then we bring the 2 glasses. So Gyokuro, as some of you might know, this is a really theanine rich tea, meaning that actually the sunlight is not touching in the final stage of the tea leaves. This brings a lot more up the amino acid content and brings down the catechin, the bioflavonoids, how they call. So they are going down and the theanine is going up. And the Gyokuro, it is said that it has around 2,000 milligrams per 100 gram. So per serving, you're talking about 80 milligrams to 100 milligrams of theanine, which makes the green tea one of the richest sources of theanine in the world, coming from a natural plant. So this is what we're gonna do here. And now we can already, after around 2 minutes, take the water. And you nearly can't see the water, so the leaf, they take up the whole space, and we're just gonna pour this into the glass. Good. So this is what we get as the thick, really thick water, very rich in theanine. And you can see when you swirl it a little bit, it really hangs a little bit on the wall. So it's a really thick liquor or liquid of the tea. Now we're gonna use around 150 milliliter of water. For this one here, this is already brewed once, so I can just wait for some seconds and then use the leaves. I do it the wrong way around, but so you can already see that you bring it back a little bit. So here you get a much more stronger yellow color, while here you're much more in the green. And now let's have a look from close. So you see this one here, definitely thicker, definitely more richer also in this a little bit milky tone, while this one here has a little bit more of the green tone, and bringing out also a little bit, seems to bring out a little bit more of the chlorophyll. So, but now interesting is, how do I get really this different or this multi-layered taste experience, and seeing how the taste is different also from the more water to the low amount of water. Here I think I used around 30 milliliters, and here we're around 100 to 120 milliliters. So now let's dive into this. So the thicker and stronger one first. It is sweet, sweet corn. Amazingly strong on this umami side. So here what you're doing is that you really push the umami flavor out. Umami is this savory, this delightful, savory, sweet flavor profile, which is really strong. So it starts with the sweet corn, but and really goes over in a mix of sunflower seeds. It's nearly a little bit kind of a brothy, but then spinachy, then sweet at the same time. I get a little bit of fruitiness, so it's very different taste experience. Now as I'm talking, there are even more and more taste layers coming out. So what actually the small amount of water does, it really kind of concentrates the taste per milliliter, and it really intensifies the taste perception of the upper part of the tongue where the umami flavor receptors are situated. So this is something which is very special. So if you ever have the chance to try a Gyokuro this way, or if you have ever have a Gyokuro at home, try it once with just a low amount of water and see how these different layers coming. So first I had this sweet corn, then it's going over in a little bit more of a nearly salty, a little bit brothy, but then changes over quickly into more in a nutty flavor profile. And now in the end there was a little bit of a spinachy flavor profile coming up. So there were different layers just evolving over time. So you had like sweet corn popcorn in the beginning, and like a small roasted flavor with it. Then it goes over into this really savory kind of a little bit fast, nearly meaty taste profile. And then in the end there's a little bit of a grassiness and much more of the sweetness and the fruits coming out. I have here a little bit of a, yeah, definitely mango. I have a little bit of kind of yeah, it's a mix between kind of a cashew nut and the almondy flavor profile mixed with a little bit of papaya. So it's very a lot of different flavor profiles coming in. So you can see that this concentration of the tea, especially with the Gyokuro, where the amino acids are high, which then play the most with the umami, then let you like really dive into different taste layers. And this is what is so fantastic about Gyokuro as well. So not only is it a good brew for with a lot of, or with a higher amount of water, which I dive into right now, but it's also with the small amount of water you really have the different taste profile, these different layers. Good. And now let's go and so it's much softer. It's also more liquid. So this one here is really a little bit like thicker. Also in the texture, it's a little bit more silky. This one's still silky, but much smoother over the tongue. So it feels a little bit like it's more coating the tongue, while here it really glides over the tongue, and you kind of get the taste experience of the Gyokuro. It's like this one is like more rolling over the tongue, and this one is like a silk net just going over the whole spectrum of your tongue. In terms of flavor profile, so it's much less strong in the umami flavor. It leaves a little bit more space for a little bit more of a flowery flavor profile. So I get it's much smoother in the beginning. I don't have this stronger kind of a roasted flavor. It goes away, so there's no roasted flavor with it. There is the umami flavor, but it's much softer. It's a little bit more on the side as well. It's a little bit more on the fruity side. I don't get the spinachy flavor profile. So there's much more of a kind of a silky, smooth, then there's more sweetness, a little bit more of a floral flavor profile. And it goes a little bit over into the nuttiness. It plays as well with the nuttiness, but in the beginning it's much softer and it goes less deep on this kind of meaty, of this savory, really strong savory profile. So it seems that the Gyokuro, when you brew it a little bit with a higher amount of water, it comes in much smoother with the silk. Then it goes down a little bit on this savory flavor profile, bringing in a lot of this flowery flavor profile, so a little bit more of a lightness with it, and then it goes a little bit broad. It seems a little bit broader and lighter, and then goes over into savory profile, bringing out a little bit more the sunflower seeds, a little bit the almondy flavor. This is really how you taste experience. So you also get a multi-layered, but it's kind of a little bit smoother from one flavor profile to the other. When you take the small amount of water, you really have like this huge impact in the beginning of this sweet corn. Then it goes really down on this kind of savory, kind of nearly salty flavor profile, really intense, but then comes back up, bringing out the sweetness, then all going over into this nuttiness, and finally a little bit also aftertaste of kind of a spinachy or fresh spinach leaf. So you get much more intense and much more pronounced flavor profiles when you take the small amount of water, while the bigger or the higher amount of water is just a smooth going over from flavor profile, and a little bit less intense and a little bit less broad in the spectrum, but still a very, very good tea. Good. So this was this. I hope you like this one. So soon the holidays are there. I hope you're already with your families. If you are like me, then I wish you all a Merry Christmas. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, then just enjoy the end of the year. Bye bye, see you and talk soon.